My parents kept letting themselves into my apartment, so I moved without telling them and allowed them to worry. The throw pillows were wrong. I stood in the doorway, keys still in my hand, staring at my couch. The navy blue pillow I always kept on the left was now on the right. The cream pillow with tassels was sitting where the navy one usually went. Someone had been inside my apartment. My name is Diana, and I'm 26 years old. When I signed the lease on my first apartment in downtown Portland 3 months earlier, I believed I had finally gained independence. My own place, my own rules. No more living under my parents' roof, following their routines, or answering constant questions about where I was going and when I would return. On move-in day, my mother, Patricia, asked for a spare key. "Just for emergencies, sweetheart," she said, tucking a strand of her highlighted blonde hair behind her ear. "What if there's a fire? What if you get hurt and we need to check on you?" It sounded reasonable at the time. Parents worry, that's normal. So I gave her the spare key and watched her clip it onto her keychain next to the small photo charm of me from high school. I didn't think much of it. But now, standing in my living room at 6:30 on a Wednesday evening, I knew exactly what had happened. The pillows weren't the only clue. 3 Tupperware containers were lined up on my kitchen counter, leftovers I definitely hadn't cooked. Lasagna, potato salad, and chocolate chip cookies. My phone buzzed. A text from my mom. "Hope you found the food. Stop by to drop it off. Your place is coming together nicely, though. You really should add more color to that living room. Love you." I called her right away. "Diana, did you get my text?" Her voice was cheerful and completely unaware of the issue. "Mom, you can't just come into my apartment." "I brought you dinner. You've been working so hard at that marketing firm, and I know you don't have time to cook real meals. That's not the point. You need to call first. You need my permission." She laughed, actually laughed. "Diana, honey, you're my daughter. I don't need an appointment to see you. I was nearby, had extra food, and I used the key. That's what it's for." "The key is for emergencies." "Well, you not eating properly is an emergency to me. Now, did you try the lasagna yet? I used Aunt Carol's recipe, the one with Italian sausage." I pressed my fingers to my temples as a headache started forming. "Mom, I'm serious. Next time, call first." All right. Don't be so sensitive. I'll talk to you later, sweetie." She hung up before I could reply. I stood there in my kitchen, phone in hand, convincing myself I was overreacting. She was just being a mom, overbearing maybe, but well-intentioned. The food was good, and it saved me from ordering takeout again. Still, I should have trusted my instincts. I should have asked for that key back immediately, because 2 weeks later, things escalated. The shampoo bottle wasn't mine. I had wandered into my bathroom on a Saturday morning, half asleep, getting ready to shower before meeting my friend Stephanie for brunch. That's when I noticed it. A purple bottle of high-end salon shampoo sitting on my shower shelf. Not my brand, not my color, not mine. I picked it up and read the label, a moisture renewal formula that cost $90 a bottle. Ashley's favorite. Ashley was 23 and lived an hour away in Salem, working as a dental hygienist and frequently complaining about her rent. Apparently, she had spent the night in my apartment without asking. I was still holding the shampoo like it was evidence when my phone rang. "Good morning, sweetheart. Did Ashley remember to leave you a thank you note?" "To leave me a thank you note for what?" "For letting her stay at your place last night. She had a date in Portland and didn't want to drive home late. I told her she could use your apartment since you're always at work anyway." The casual way she said it, as if this were completely normal, made my blood pressure rise. "You gave Ashley access to my apartment without asking?" "Diana, it's your sister. You would have said yes." "That's not the point. This is my home." "Oh, don't be so dramatic. She slept on your couch, used your shower, and left by 7 a.m. You weren't even there. What's the problem?" "The problem is that I didn't know. What if I'd come home and found someone inside?" "She's not someone. She's your sister."
I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Mom, you cannot give anyone access to my apartment. I don't care if it's Ashley, Dad, or anyone else. This is my private space. You're being selfish. That word hit hard. Excuse me? Your sister needed help, and you're making a big deal out of her using your shower. Family supports family, Diana. I don't know what's gotten into you since you moved out, but this attitude has to stop. She ended the call. I sat on the edge of my bathtub, still holding Ashley's expensive shampoo, feeling confused. Was I being selfish? Was I overreacting? These were my parents and my sister. They weren't strangers or dangerous people, but the tight feeling in my stomach told me something wasn't right. I called Ashley. Hey, Di, did you get my mom's message? Did you stay at my apartment last night? Yeah, thank you so much. I had dinner with this guy from Tinder. It ran late, and I didn't want to drive back to Salem. Mom said it was fine. Ashley, you need to ask me, not Mom. But it's Mom. She has a key. I thought she cleared it with you. She didn't. There was a pause. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't think it was a big deal. You weren't even home. That phrase again. Just text me next time, please. Sure, yeah, sorry, Di. But it was clear she didn't really understand why I was upset. That afternoon, I drove to my parents' house in the suburbs, the same one I grew up in, with the red front door and my mom's collection of garden gnomes. My dad was in the garage, working on his Chevy truck. Diana, what a nice surprise, he said, wiping his hands on a rag. I need to talk to you and Mom. His smile faded. Everything okay? No. Inside, Mom was in the kitchen, making her well-known pot roast. The house smelled of onions, beef, and familiar Sunday dinners. Diana, stay for dinner. I can't. I need my key back. Her wooden spoon clanged into the pot. She turned to face me, confusion quickly shifting to hurt, then anger. My key, the spare key I gave you. I need it back. Why would you need that? Dad stepped into the kitchen, and suddenly I felt 12 years old again. But I wasn't 12. I was 26. Because you're using it to enter my apartment without permission. You drop off food without telling me. You let Ashley stay over without asking. That key was for emergencies only. Mom's face flushed. Bringing my daughter food is an emergency. Making sure you're okay is an emergency. You barely eat. You never call. I'm not cutting you out. I'm asking for basic boundaries. Boundaries? She repeated sharply. Is that what they teach you at work? Patricia, Dad spoke quietly. She ignored him. I raised you. I paid for your college. And now you're accusing me of what? Being a bad mother? You're entering my apartment without consent. It's not breaking in if I have a key. I gave you that key for emergencies, not unannounced visits or guests. She twisted a dish towel in her hands, tears forming, the same tears that had always ended arguments. I can't believe you're doing this. I'm your mother. I worry about you every day. You're alone in that apartment, and if something happens and we can't reach you... And that's when I understood. This wasn't about safety. It was about control.
Nothing is going to happen to me. You don't know that, she said. What if there's a fire? What if you slip in the shower? What if someone breaks in? Then I'll call 911 like any normal person. Dad stepped between us. Diana, I think you're being paranoid. Hearing it from him hurt more. Dad was always the rational one, the calm voice, the one who taught me how to change a tire, manage money, and stand up for myself. I'm not paranoid. I'm asking for basic respect. He folded his arms. We're not giving the key back. The kitchen went quiet, except for the sound of the pot roast simmering. What? You heard me. We're not giving it back. We're your parents. This is ridiculous. Then I'll change my locks. Mom gasped. You wouldn't dare. Watch me. I left without another word. I drove straight back to my apartment and searched for locksmiths. I found one with same-day service. By 8 p.m. that evening, I had new deadbolts on both my front door and the sliding balcony door. I kept all 3 keys. For 2 weeks, I felt relieved. I had drawn a clear line. I had stood up for myself. My apartment felt like it belonged to me again. Then I came home from work on a Thursday and found my mom sitting on my couch. My briefcase slipped from my hand and hit the floor, the sound echoing through the room. She was sitting on my couch with a cup of tea on the coffee table and a magazine open in her lap, as if she lived there. "How did you get in here?" She looked up, smiled, and held up a shiny new key. My heart started racing. "Where did you get that?" "I called your landlord, such a nice man, Mr. Henderson. I explained that I'm your mother and needed access in case of emergencies. He completely understood and gave me a copy yesterday." The room felt unsteady. I grabbed the back of the armchair to stay upright. "You went behind my back and contacted my landlord?" "Don't overreact, Diana." She set down her magazine, Better Homes and Gardens, of course. "I'm your mother. I have every right to check on you. And honestly, have you looked in your refrigerator? There's nothing in there but yogurt and old takeout." "Get out!" "Excuse me? Get out, now!" She stood slowly, gathering her purse with deliberate, wounded movements. "I can't believe how you're talking to me. I came here out of love and concern, and this is how you treat me? You manipulated my landlord into giving me unauthorized access to my apartment. That's not love, that's control. It's motherhood." She paused at the door and turned back to me. "When you have children, you'll understand. You never stop worrying. You never stop needing to know they're safe. There's a difference between worrying and stalking." Her expression hardened. "I'll be keeping this key for emergencies." The door closed behind her with a quiet click. I stood there shaking for a full minute before I could move. Then I called my landlord. "Mr. Henderson, this is Diana Shepard in Unit 412. "Oh, Diana, your mother stopped by yesterday. Very nice woman. She seemed quite concerned. Under no circumstances are you to give anyone access to my apartment without my written permission. That includes my parents." There was a pause. "I'm sorry, I didn't realize there was a problem. Your mother said you weren't well." "I'm fine. She lied. If anyone asks for access again, you must contact me first. Do you understand?" "Yes, absolutely. I apologize. It won't happen again." I hung up and immediately called a different locksmith. I changed the locks again. I sent Mr. Henderson a certified letter stating that only I was authorized to enter my apartment and that any violation would be considered a breach of my lease. 3 weeks of peace followed. 3 quiet weeks where I thought the message had finally been understood. Then I came home to find my window screen lying on the floor and fresh laundry folded neatly on my bed. A casserole sat in my refrigerator like evidence, chicken and rice in a cream sauce, still warm and covered with foil. A sticky note was attached. "You're not eating enough. Love, Mom." My hands shook as I checked the apartment. Nothing was stolen, nothing damaged, just invaded. The laundry I had left in a hamper had been washed, dried, folded, and put away. The dishes I left in the sink that morning were clean and stacked in the cupboard, and my second-floor window was wide open, the screen resting on the floor below it. I walked to the window and looked down. A decorative trellis covered with climbing roses ran along the building, sturdy enough to climb. She had climbed it. My 55-year-old mother had climbed a trellis to get into my apartment. I called her. She answered immediately. "Diana, did you find the casserole? I used the recipe you always liked. Did you climb through my window to get into my apartment?" Silence. "Mom, answer me. Did you climb through my window to get into my apartment?" "Well, the door was locked. What was I supposed to do? I made you dinner, I did your laundry, and now you're yelling at me?" "I'm yelling because you broke into my apartment. It's not breaking in when it's family. You're being unreasonable. You climbed through my window because I changed the locks. If you'd just give us a key like a normal daughter, I wouldn't have to do things this way. This is your fault." I ended the call and immediately dialed my dad. "Hello, sweetheart? Did you know Mom broke into my apartment through the window?" He sighed. "She mentioned stopping by.
She didn't stop by, Dad. She climbed a trellis and broke in because I wouldn't give her a key. Your mother worries about you. She can't sleep thinking about you alone. That doesn't justify breaking in. You're making this more difficult than it needs to be. Just give us a key. Let us check on you. No, I'm an adult. I have a right to privacy. And we have the right to know our daughter is safe. You're being selfish and paranoid, and I'm disappointed." He hung up. I sat on my couch, the same couch where I had found my mother sitting uninvited, and stared at the window, the trellis visible through the glass. The roses swayed gently in the evening air. I could change the locks endlessly. I could add cameras, chains, and alarms. It wouldn't matter. They believed they had the right to access my life. They believed my independence was temporary, my boundaries were flexible, my adulthood was optional. There was only one answer. I had to disappear. The new apartment was on the northwest side of Portland, in the Pearl District, a 20-story building of grass and steel with a doorman named Victor who took his role seriously. The lease required a credit check, first and last month's rent, and a large security deposit. It cost $400 more per month than my current place. I signed the papers on a Tuesday morning.
I took the keys from the leasing agent and told absolutely no one. For the next 2 weeks, I planned carefully. I took a Friday off work, telling my boss I had a medical appointment. I rented a moving truck. I called 2 friends I trusted, Stephanie and Olivia, women I'd met at a book club who didn't know my parents and had no connection to them. "You're really not going to tell them?" Stephanie asked as we loaded boxes into the truck. She was 28, a paralegal with short black hair and an impressive ability to lift heavy furniture. "If I tell them, they'll show up and try to stop me," I said. "Or worse, they'll follow me to the new place." Olivia sealed another box filled with kitchen items. "This feels like something out of a spy movie, Di. Are you sure this is necessary?" "They climbed through my window," I said. "Yes, it's necessary." We worked quickly. By 3 p.m., my apartment was completely empty. Every piece of furniture, every box, every sign that I had lived there was gone. I cleaned obsessively, scrubbing the floors, wiping the walls, making sure nothing remained. At 5:30, I walked through the empty rooms one last time. Then I locked the door and dropped the keys into Mr. Henderson's mailbox. The new apartment was smaller, but it felt secure. 16th floor, a doorman, keycard access for the elevators, a strict guest sign-in policy. I unpacked until midnight, hung curtains, and arranged my furniture. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Saturday and Sunday passed without incident. Mom texted me a recipe for beef stew. I replied with a thumbs-up emoji. Dad sent a photo of his truck with new tires. I responded, "Looks great." Then on Monday, I stopped replying. By Tuesday afternoon, my phone was overwhelmed. 17 missed calls and 12 text messages. "Diana, call me. Where are you? Why aren't you answering?" I let the phone ring. On Wednesday, the voicemail started. Mom's voice grew more frantic with each message. "Sweetheart, please call us. We're worried. Are you okay?" I deleted them. Thursday morning, I woke up to 23 missed calls. The latest voicemail made my stomach drop. Mom's voice was panicked and breaking. "We're at your apartment and it's completely empty. There's nothing here. Diana, where are you? What happened?" I heard Dad in the background before the message cut off. I waited an hour. I let them panic. I let them feel a small portion of the violation I'd felt every time they entered my space without permission. Then I called back. Mom answered immediately. "Diana, thank God. We thought your apartment is empty. Why would you leave us like that?" "Why would you assume something terrible happened to me?" I asked calmly. "Because everything is gone," she said. "There's nothing there." "That doesn't explain why you were at my apartment," I replied. "Why were you there?" Silence. "Mom," I said, "why were you at my apartment?" "We were worried about you," she said. "You weren't answering your phone." "I didn't respond for 2 days. 2 days. And your response was to enter my apartment again?" "We didn't break in," she started, then stopped. "You what?" I asked. "Climbed through the window again or convinced Mr. Henderson to let you in? Which way did you choose this time?" There was fumbling, then Dad took the phone. "Diana, what's going on? Where are you? Where's all your stuff?" "I moved." "You what?"
I moved to a new apartment because you refused to respect my boundaries. We're your parents, he said. We have the right to check on you. No, Dad, you don't. You climbed through my window because I wouldn't give you a key. You manipulated my landlord. You entered my home without permission. That's not parenting. That's stalking. We were worried about you. Then call me, text me, ask to visit like normal people. You don't get to break into my home. Fine, he said sharply. Then give us your new address. No. Excuse me? I said no. You've shown me that no lock, no boundary, and no clear request for privacy will stop you. I'm not giving you my address. Mom took the phone back. We're your parents. You can't just cut us off. I'm not cutting you off. I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. This is insane, she said. You're being cruel. And I'm being an adult who gets to decide who enters my home. That's my right. You took that away repeatedly, even after I told you to stop. You left me no choice. Diana, please, she said, her voice cracking. We love you. We just want to know you're safe. For a moment, I felt guilty. Then I remembered coming home to find her sitting on my couch. I remembered my window screen on the floor. I remembered Dad crossing his arms and saying they weren't giving the key back. If you want a relationship with me, it happens on my terms. We can meet for coffee, we can eat at restaurants, we can talk on the phone, but you do not get access to my home. Not anymore. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious. When you're ready to respect my boundaries, let me know. Until then, this is how it is. I hung up before either of them could respond. That was 4 months ago. They still don't know where I live. They call less often now, but they still call. We've met for coffee twice at a Starbucks downtown. The conversations were tense and careful, filled with long pauses. Mom cried both times. Dad barely spoke. They haven't asked my address again. They haven't tried to follow me home. Slowly, they're learning that I meant what I said. Last week, Mom texted me, I made pot roast, your favorite. Would you like to come over for dinner on Sunday? I stared at the message for a long time before replying. I'll be there at 6. It's not forgiveness, not yet, maybe not ever, but it's a start, on my terms, at my pace, with firm boundaries in place, because I'm not their little girl anymore. I'm Diana, 26 years old, with my own apartment, a doorman, and locks that only I have the keys to.